have Philip James here this morning. He may still be possibly on his way, but we've got Tyrone as well, for our youth to be able to demonstrate their talent. I don't know if you remember, was what, in the 60s or 70s, gifted and black?
Yeah.
I just twisted and said men gifted and black, to celebrate the talents and the gifts and skills that are here within our community. And then we'll go on to lunch. And again, after lunch, an opportunity for our youth to be able to share the gifted and talented. And then black men and mentoring. Opportunity for some of the guys here who are involved in aspects of mentoring, but also to challenge some of us who are mentors about taking on the role of mentoring. Becomes very, very important in our community as we see what is actually happening to our young men. And then men of the village. It's quite interesting how we lose things that are unique to our society and our community. And you know, it may seem strange that I'm talking about village, but did you know that we use the word in terms of global village? It becomes very, very trendy to talk about global village. But I'm using that men of the village in the context of us getting to know, if you imagine Luton as a village, our community, we may see each other, but we don't really know each other. We don't know the positive work and the good work that men are doing. People like Fitzroy, Tony, Bob, you know, who are actually doing within our community. And so the men of the village would be an opportunity for us to share who we are and what it is that we're doing within our community. It is said that in parts of Africa, when a lion comes to the village perimeters, that all the men get together, all the elders get together, and women get together, and the men take the initiative to actually put a strategy in place to protect the entire village. So they would say to the children, you know, don't wander near beyond the perimeter, and everybody will be watching for each other's children. And it isn't somebody else's children, it's our children. And so I'm hoping that we can create that mentality of the men of the village mentality, where we say, well, you know, I see Amari. If I see Amari on the street getting into trouble, he's not my son, but yes, he is my son. Okay, because what I do in terms of pointing him in the right direction will have an impact on his future. And you know, all the young guys here, really good. I'm really glad that you got up this morning. You thought, I'm going to this men's day. What am I going to expect? But really glad that you are here, and it'd be really good for you to be able to link up with us. I don't know how old you are. 15. Okay, but you know that you can link up with us. If you look around, these are some of the men in our village. These are some from gifted and talented men that can provide you with the support that you need to go through that difficult teenage period of time where we've all have been. I'm hoping also that we're able to share openly and honestly. When Fitzroy was interviewing me at Naibingi, you know, I share the fact that you know, all people only know me as pastor. They see me as this religious man, but don't forget, you know, that I was on the streets. Got in trouble with the police, got involved in shoplifting and all those sorts of things. Movie gangs, you know, all of those things. You know, used to teach Taekwondo. You know, I'm a martial arts specialist, but people wouldn't know that, and they tend to think that you know, because you're a minister, you don't know what it means to be on the street. But I've been there. And so hopefully that as we share, that would encourage and help you. Okay, and at the end, we'll have opportunity to be able to collect some information. I think Levi was looking to get some information in terms of health, and look at how we can push the health agenda forward as black men. One of the main things I was hoping to get out of today was to get at least 100 black men to sign up to, and Tony will probably talk about this later on. We've got a Saturday school that's been in the community for so many years, and education is very, very important for our generation that's coming up. And what we'll be looking at is for many men as possible here to sign up, to donate £10 a month. Okay, but we'll talk about that afterwards. I'm excited about today. I'm excited, really, really excited about today, about what we are able to do. You know, there's been some sort of negative comments passed about the time of the day, etc., etc., etc. But if you know me, that doesn't move me. It just moves me on to say, well, okay, if you can do better, come and do it. If you can't, shut up. You know, we're moving forward. We're moving on to the next level. So at this particular time, I'm just going to ask George just to come along and to share with us with regards to black men and business. Okay, just a round of applause.
Yeah, good morning. As you can see, my name is George Williams. I just thought I'd just share with you a bit about myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a cosmologist. I'm a person who sort of takes personal development very seriously, me as an individual. And at the same time, it's not about me, it's about my impact upon the community, especially men. And business is an area which I've got a passion about, and for all different types of reasons, I've got a passion about it. My business acumen started back in the early 80s, the early 90s, back in South London, where I kind of drifted into business. You know, some friends of ours, we put a bit of money into one and two, I don't know if you know about these multi-level marketing, lost a bit as well. And then from there I sort of drifted into distribution. We had a contract with a Portuguese importer where we used to distribute his drinks, you know, like around the old club circuit. We didn't have a clue about business. We just did it because, you know, we wanted to earn the money. But what I realized what we were doing, we were like pushing, you know, the black businessmen into the mainstream. In those early days, the business collapsed, and then I sort of moved on again, got involved in another partnership. The same thing happened again. So can you see like this cycle? And my business to date was a couple of years ago. I had a business consultancy. I mean, there's like a long gap in it. There's a lot of things what's been happening, which is going to take a bit too much time now. But from a personal viewpoint, I was growing and I was understanding how to acquire the principles of business and how to utilize them for the betterment. So that leads me on to what this talk is about. It's about us. How much are we worth? Yeah. So when we try to put up the figures, these are old figures. 1996, the BME population. Our contribution towards the economy, that's goods and services GDP, was 37 billion. These are old figures. We are in 2004, so you can just imagine what the figures are like now. But what does it mean to us on the ground? What is our condition? What, you know, does that figure reflect our existence on the ground? When we actually look at us as an ethnic group, when we actually look at some of the social ills, you know, what I'll use the term we're suffering from. Deprivation, that is the truth. High unemployment, that is the truth. Underachievement of the young men in school, that is the truth. High number of young men in mental institute, that is the truth. And yet we're generating that sort of revenue, we're heading towards the coffers. So it's all about recycling. What about business? Because this is what it's about. It's about business. We've got another figure here. No, sorry, Trevor, do you want to go back? Sorry. Yeah. Black and Asian business, 30 billion. We can actually question that, because I'm not quite sure if someone has seen that program or what was done by Darkus Al, and he was talking about the Asians are now the middle class of Great Britain, and they've actually put a claim on that 30 billion. That is a Howard contribution. Now, what I want to say, okay, we can argue it, but at the end of the day, when you look at the Asian community, they've got evidence. They've actually got a business environment. It is visual, you can see it. Even here in Luton, we've got Berry Park. We've got a business community also, but it's very fragmented. You can't sort of pinpoint it and there it is. Yeah? I'll just sort of share, go a little bit deeper on this point. I was down in Harlesden Wednesday, and I don't know if some of you know about Harlesden High Street. It's a predominantly Afro-Caribbean area. When you actually look on the shops, the business premises, it's predominantly Asian. This is not about race or anything like that. It's about economics. When you actually look at an ethnic group, within an environment, who are the business people? Is there any revenue recycled back into the environment? The question is no, because if we are not manning the shops and how a community is coming and engaging, buying the goods and services, there's no recycle. The money's going somewhere else. Yeah? And this picture, what I'm painting, it may sound grim, but it is a national picture. Because I go up and down the country of a weekend, from Manchester, Bristol, all over, and it's exactly the same picture. I can actually move into an area. If I find in an Asian community, the black community is right next door to it, and the Asian community is servicing that community, and all the revenue doesn't stay in the area. So the question is, what can we do as black men? Do you want to move on now, Trevor? How can we take our future back into our hands? Yeah? And here, this is like it is a strategy. Creations of economical platforms. What does that mean? Economics gives you a base, a solid base which you can stand on and you can actually express who you are. You've got the revenue coming here. Yeah? You're generating that, you can sustain yourself. It's a solid platform. Yeah? So what I'm proposing here, a financial base within our community. So I'm talking self-containment here. Yeah? So the money is recycled, it stays within. Yeah? Obviously, once this process is generating X amount of money or the surplus, we can actually look on some of these issues, identify needs, capacity building, housing, employment, social issues, education, and the last but not least, training. Why do you train people? It's about empowerment. When a person's down on the ground, he's not really moved towards his true potential. Once we've actually got a system, an organized system, we can actually look on that person and we can empower that person. And we can cater to his needs so he can cater to himself. He can cater for his own needs, but we give him the tools, we give him the knowledge base, and we give him the environment. How did we get into this situation? From 1955, Windrush, and we were in 2004. So we need to actually look at generations, past trends. Our parents was invited over here. They may have had a 5-year plan. That's, history books will tell us it's like a 5-year plan. And their mindset, they were thinking, okay, I'll come over here for a short period of time, generate some income, put back into the Caribbean where I can actually build a house and where I can look about my retirement. But what about us? We were in the equation, yeah? And unfortunately, it has actually left an economical gap throughout the United Kingdom. So my generation, I'm like 42 now. My parents, they were here first, they were generating their own revenue, but their thoughts was to take the money out of the system, put it back into the Caribbean. What about us now? It's about my generation now. Where do we start? When we actually look at our economic situation, it is abysmal. So it's down to us now to take the bull by the horns and see what we can do. Currently, it's about yeah, right. So do you want to move on now? Thanks. Right. So, in my view, we need a roadmap, and I've actually got up here. This is what I'm proposing. If anyone sees a much more simpler way, much better way, it's there for you to put your points of view forward. This is just from my perceptions. Even though we're focusing on business, I still believe that is the foundation. You've got to get your business right. That's just your revenue flowing into your community. So what I'm proposing here, we need to understand: is there a black business environment? And how we go about doing this is to do a mapping exercise. Literally go out there to see who's operating within the environment. How long is it's been in business, and we set up a database, yeah? And obviously with that now, there's a word that says consortium, because we've got all these types of business people, different types of acumen, different types of business skills. We'll use these guys in the consortium, so they will be the heads of the business community, yeah? From there now, we can start encouraging the next generation to move into business. We can engage with the likes of business. The Luton Borough Council says, yes, we are here, we are organised. Yeah, this is our profile. The Luton Ethnic Minority Business Forum, I think it's been set for about 2 years. It's run by Nazir. He's a Haitian businessman. What for the electronics? I sort of normally go to some of his open evening, and this is not a criticism, but when you actually go there, the focus is predominantly Asian. Now, what I'm trying to put across here, there is a black contingent, but a black contingent needs to organise itself. So when it engages, it is represented. Yeah. And then once we've actually got this now, we can engage with all these other networking organisations. The consortium itself now can promote business startups. And what business startups going to do is like this young gentleman here, if he so wish to get into business, instead of running around trying to find out what I'm supposed to do, there's already a ready-made organisation there which he can tap into. He can actually bring his idea to the consortium. We're talking about seasoned businessmen here. And then what they can do, they can mentor him and help him and show him and give him some form of guidance. Promote and nominate black business success through existing mediums. Learning Skills Council. And this one here, the Council, the Chamber Business Awards. I'm not quite sure what it's called. I'll just put that on there. But Chamber Business, they give out awards to new businesses, entrepreneurship. They try to encourage new business. What we can do, we can actually submit young entrepreneurs, celebrate them, go in there, yeah, recognition. Local Black Business Conference. Yeah, I mean, this is a lovely one. This is what I'm proposing. I spoke to Business Link already, and hopefully in the new year, I'm open to call a conference. And the reason why we call that conference, we need to widen the circle. 3 counties, Aylesbury, Bedford, to see is there any existing black businesses out there, and what shape is it in, and bring it in. Right. Benefits to the community. the benefits to the community, once we've actually got the consortium in now, the consortium can actually support our social existence. Because what I'm trying to propose in here now is, you've got the money flowing in here now, you've got this whirlpool of revenue, then we can actually look at all these other areas which I outlined earlier, and job creation, you know all the trimmings that goes with it, modeling and mentoring of business creation and enterprise, creation of employment and training within our community, financial investment back into our community. That's the recycling. Yeah, that's the recycling of, if I was to use such a term, the recycle of the black pound. Yeah, so it doesn't leave and go somewhere else. It stays within. Questions and answers. I don't know. I'll leave that down to you guys. It sounds like a very, very short presentation. But what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get you guys start thinking in terms of wealth. How can we start to build this platform? If you guys got any idea, don't just sit down with it. Bring it out in the open, and then we can actually have like an open forum where we can document your ideas and we can see if these ideas are viable. Thank you very much.
Anybody got any questions to ask George? Any comments?
Yeah. George, can I ask one?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, recently, me and I've got a friend, he's a YouTuber,
Yeah.
and we've opened up, or he's opened up a business account, because with certain credit problems that I've had, he said it's okay that I can come in with him on his business account. So he's opened up a business account with the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's got his group name and everything, but what I've done, I've sort of jumped in and put about 5 different projects under that business name. Is that wise? For instance, I'll go through the 5. There's removals and couriers, there's a self-defense project, exercise and health and fitness, computer maintenance, and film and music. Now, is it best to go one at a time, or they all can be done, but what would you think?
Well, put it this way, right? It's all about documentation, it's all about contracts. Who does those ideas belong to? Because what it sounds like to me, he's got the account, he's got all the documentation. How have you tied yourself to this gentleman? Is it just through a business account? Have you got an agreement? Have you got a contract?
We're close friends.
Well,
that's all I can say. We're very good friends. I mean, right now, I'm holding all his books. I have his card, I have his pen, I have his checkbook. That's how close the unit is.
But I mean, just to cement it, draft up a contract. Just to cement it, because he's holding like friends. We use friends. Friends is human beings. We have got a tendency of forgetting, especially when finance is in the equation. Yeah. So tight agreement. That's what I would suggest to you. Just get the agreement documented. Or if he's your friend, he will sign the paper.
Even though all 4 out of the 5 projects belong to me.
Sign the paper.
Okay, no problem.
Sign the paper.
No
Yes.
problem.
Any more? You want to?
Just to, may I?
Yeah, go.
Add to what you're coming.
First and foremost, you must have a contract. Because even though you have started those programs,
Yes,
and you have linked them with his, all the documentation is in his name. You have no claim, even right now. No claim.
even if he's put my name as an additional person on the business account.
Regardless, there must be a contract, a binding document to say whether you're a partner in the business, you own this aspect of it, you have contributed this. Without that binding contract,
Yes, sir.
you must cover yourself. So my advice to you, talk to a lawyer.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting presentation. There's a wide range of issues that have been covered in terms of the pound, you know, and how we don't keep it in our community and it just goes out there. But just the specific points really, right? I think it's in relation to the question that's been asked, it just goes to prove that there's a lot needs to be done in terms of actually sort of consultancy and giving people adequate advice, because there's a lack of it sometimes, you know, with good intention. The other thing really, right, in terms of celebrating the black business, hopefully really, right, we can put our money in, but at the same time we can attract other funding to sustain that, because if you're in business, it's very difficult for business people to survive as well as taking additional thing without some kind of support. You know? There's other aspects, but I don't really want to go too much into it. I think we do need to map out those black businesses that's there and get key people who can come together, if they're willing to come together, to provide the sort of structure to move forward. And I think it's an excellent presentation.
Anybody else come on? Yeah, don't worry, I don't think I need my voice system. It's wonderful that this is taking place, and I'd like to, there are two issues. First, whether in the easily comprehensible terms we can work out a kind of time framework for what we can realistically achieve between now and the next years. So that from the young to the elderly we can all say, okay, I will do this bit, or I can attend this bit between now and 3 months time, 6 months time, and so on. Otherwise, it's fantastic, but we may just drift away and get lost in the whole program. It's a very big.
Brother, it's very broad based. I mean, okay, I can sort of share this a bit with you. This is behind the scene, and my friend here, Levi, is it all right if I sort of share? Yeah. What we're trying to do now, we're trying to create a community hub, and I'm trying to house how community needs in a hub. So it's going to be like a building. It's going to be a theme building, and it's going to cover themes like economics, which is the key, education, arts, media, and family. Yeah. So the community itself, they can engage whatever their needs are. They can gravitate towards this building. Yeah. And the needs is catered in there. It's going to be networked, it's going to be a networking building with loads of engagement, but it's going to be a focal point for the black community. Well, yes, we can find it there. It's like a one-stop shop. Yeah. So that is in the pipeline now. Time frame. Okay, I mean, I would say, because we're moving towards Christmas now, everything's scaling down. But the beginning of 2005, that's when we will be looking to get, really proactive and start pulling the community together. Yeah? And as I said, I want to try and call a regional conference. That's part of my calendar. Regional conference. And then the following year I want to do a national, but obviously I can't talk about that yet. We've got to get the regional first, and then the building. The next step is the national conference. So there'll be like a national mapping, yeah. But the seed is here, right? This place called Luton. We've got to get it here first. Let me just backtrack. I've gone up and down this country, from Hull, Leeds, Bristol, all the way down to Newport. And I've seen the same picture. I've even spoke to loads of people, just sold them the idea. People's going loopy. They want to see it. They've heard all the talk. They've got the T-shirt, the pen. They want that. They want the actual reality of what I'm saying. And I'm the type of person I will make steps to make it real. Yeah, because as you see some of those figures, that is what we're worth. But what about in the pocket?
I take it that you have a body, or you already have a body working on
the framework. Yeah. No, we've already got the constitution. We're just tweaking the constitution.
Okay.
Yeah, I've already got the actual board already in place. We're ready to ratify the constitution, and then once that's in place, then we can start engaging.
I use the mic,
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
The question I was going to ask you, George, right? 2 years ago, I was doing some work with the council, and I'm identifying where some of the gap is. Yeah, I'm looking at grants for security for business and that. Have we got a mechanism? Because I know that the Asian are getting the majority of the grant to put up shop front security, and up to this day I haven't seen any form of paperwork saying any of the black business actually accessing these little small £2,000 fund. Have we got a database, a business, so we can get them to start tapping into these resources that's there? I know you're going to have a conference and that's all good, but what I'm saying, have we got something that can work while you're developing the conference?
I mean, just to answer that question, this is day one. This is actually day one. We're actually putting everything in place. It's not in place yet. As I said, once we've got the hub, then we can start looking on, start engaging. We're not in that position yet. We really truly have to be real. We're in a broken down position. We need to start getting up. Yeah, we've done all research. There's no more research. As I said, 2 years ago, you've actually you done a feasibility study.
No, I just went around and did a check myself. I did my
Right.
research.
So you know what you're saying. You've already got the database. You've got a database, yeah?
No, but what I'm saying, all right, you see like the ethnic minority forum that you attend, yeah? Fine, that's all good, but what I'm saying, if there's any funding now for business, we're going to miss the boat because the business people are not going to these forums. So how are we going to get the message to them to say, look, here's some money for security, go and apply? I'm just dealing with the basic things.
That's what I've said, right? The consortium. We've got to get the consortium. What a consortium is business heads. These are viable businesses. They come together and they set up like a body. We're not in place yet, sir. Do you understand?
I understand that, but what I'm saying again, if we're talking about information, and information is we just ringing up someone and say, look, here's some funding, go and apply. That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking about a structure because that might take 2-3 years, might take 6 months. But at the end of the day, if there is money next month that's going to be available for business, yeah, we must be able to ring up few business that we know and say, look, bring it to their attention. That's what we're saying, nothing else. If they don't apply, that's their business. But at the end of the day, they're not going to know about these information because they're not going to the conference that you're going to. They're not tapping into the network you're tapping into. And we're just talking about information, nothing else.
I'm a person of organisation, sir. Organise yourself first and then you can tap in. It's pointless you just going in there to get information. What can you do with it?
Pass it on.
I think there is an issue there, which is one of the criteria for the black businesses to understand the criteria being presented by the funders, whether we fit that criteria to be able to say in the first place we are right to apply for the grant, or we might as well not bother if we don't even fit the criteria. I think that's what needs to be explained to. It's about playing their rules, not our rules. Yeah, that's what you're saying, isn't it? Yeah. We need to understand. We haven't fulfilled the criteria. Yeah, we haven't. So the point I'm making here is that the consortium, we will use the consortium to reconfigure the business environment to their rules. We're not there yet.
The security. We're saying that from the black community, the business are not getting it, and they're not getting the information. Right. So it needs some facilitation. But what we're saying in a way of you like, you recognise there's a gap because the Asian community are well organised. So who's going to do that work in the interim when you're looking at organisations? Yeah. That's where I'll tell you what, we will talk. We'll talk about that another time. I mean, thank you very much.
Add to what's really been said, I think this is providing the forum, the means whereby we can begin to address those political issues. And as you rightly said, if we have a black men's conference next year, we would want to look back and say this and this and this, and this is what we've done. I think sort of taking Ricky's point that if you've got a database of black businesses already, then it would probably be just a question of letting them know that information is there. That's a sort of kind of a short-term quick fix thing. And then I think looking at what can be put into place to ensure that there is opportunity for that information to be communicated to the businesses. You know, we don't have that structure within our community, and we need to. So whether George, you contacting Ricky and anybody else who's got the business skills, one of the things that in the country, we've actually got a tradition. Mark Dalgetti, you know, you can buy his tea in Sainsbury's, Tesco's, yeah. So we've got this folder, and this opportunity is going to be around. Please don't walk off with it. But the opportunity just actually flick through it and see some of the businesses, some successful businessmen that are up and down the country. And they say there's some very, very successful businessmen in the UK. We have got a legacy of creativity, as Steve said. We have it. We have it. I think we've just been fooled into thinking that we're not creative and that we're not good at business skills. You know, we're not good at running businesses, but we have got that ability. So there's a whole load of guys, different backgrounds, very, very successful business entrepreneurs in the country. Yep. So this will be on display for you to have a look at. Yeah. And if there are any black businessmen in the room, okay, that can help out with George and help out with Ricky, then please let us know. Because we want to be able to move forward. Thank you, Lauren. At this time, I'm just going to hand over to Levi Gabbery. Known Levi for several years now, and very positive black man, very quiet, but he's a positive black man. And this guy is very much like Bob. These guys always want to get information to me, always. You know, have you read this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And he's been very, very supportive and very, very instrumental in a number of things. He was involved in Partnership for Change, which was a health strategy to raise cultural awareness of the needs within the statutory services of African and Caribbean community. He's now program manager within the New Deal on Marsh Farm for, is it health and environment? For health. He's got a wealth of experience, and from what I see of him very, very briefly, I don't think he suffers fools lightly. I think he's a man who's quite clear about what he wants to do, what he wants to see happen in our community, and a heart for our community as well. So this time, just a hand over to Levi.
Thank you very much, Pastor Adams. I'm not going to use the mic because I want to be moving up and down while I'm talking to you. My name is Levi Gabbery. I have been working in health for a number of years, and broadly with specific reference to your health needs. When I say yours, I mean black communities. I prefer to use Africa much more than the word or the terminology black. So throughout the little presentation, I'll be interchanging between the two. Today is we don't have the luxury of time, so we're going to have to move with a bit of haste. I'm here to share with you some concerns concerning our community. I'm also here to tell you that we have a problem, gentlemen. We have a major problem that needs major attention. And not being laid back and relaxed and take our time to think about it and are. We need right now a sense of urgency. We need a sense of togetherness. We would have heard through the first presentation how things are in terms of economics. In terms of health, no economics ain't going nowhere unless or until we're healthy.
Yes, brother.
You understand? If we're not healthy, we can't work.
No, go on.
If we're not healthy, we can't learn either. If we're not healthy, we can't maintain and keep our families together.
Yes.
If we're not healthy, we can't bring up the little youth then.
Yes.
Looking to us as the elders and the parents to set an example and show them the way, cut some ground and open up some of those paths.
Yes, indeed.
We don't have time to waste, gentlemen. I want everybody to listen keenly today.
Yes,
I never come to play with any words, neither did I come to really offend anybody. I just come here to share with you that sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And we need to move with a bit of haste. Before we start, just a few little things about me. I'm not coming off the wall. I did spend some time to try and stretch my brain. And what I mean by that, my first degree I read for public policy and management. When I was working with the health authority, I got support from them to also read at a master's level in health promotion and public health.
Respect, Levi.
So we have a bit of an idea. And what we're saying is that we all need to shape up. We all need to keep quiet, don't make so much noise, and get together, just like today.
Yes.
Okay? We need to close the doors, lock up the windows, and have some hard-hitting, deep-rooted conversations. Even if people shout and get emotional, cuss RC and BC, careful with it, especially when the children are around. But that's the sense and the emotion that we're dealing with. Everybody's hypersensitive and on the edge. Unfortunately, when we ask each other and we're passing each other and say, oh, wagwan, so everything is okay. It's not true. Okay? Before we start, right? We need to recognize the month that we're in. What is this month? Can you repeat that again for me?
October.
We're in Black History Month.
Yes, independent Nigeria.
Okay. We need to be aware of that, right? Black History Month is about you. I would prefer an African focus month.
Yes.
So we focus on what's going on. We assess the past 12 months. We make public commitment to ourselves, our families, and the community, and other people for the next 12 months. And we stick to it. Those who have an interest in a particular idea, group together and work it. Those who have interest in another idea, group together and work it. So we have action teams. People moving in all directions and driving our concerns forward. If we don't, what do you think is going to happen? Same old, same old. Black History Month, okay? I'm hoping that this thing is working. Got a lot of stuff to go through, and I want to throw some stuff up at you. Everybody can see?
Yes, sir.
African Focus Month, yeah? Dr. Carver G. Woodson, 1875-1950, a noted scholar and historian born to former slaves. Okay? Born to former slaves. Wasn't free running around like everybody today now. He founded the Association for the Study of Black Life and History in 1915. He was a young man born to former slaves, and at 20, he booked himself into school. 2 years later, he graduated. He went on further to achieve his PhD at Harvard University. This is the son of former slaves. Are you hearing me? He initiated Negro History Week at the time that is the language. Okay? February was the important month, the 12th, 1926, about the time when my daddy was born. Coinciding with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, and a whole other issues within that month. So how we get Black History Month in October? You work out the sums. Let's go further. Around 76, in line with the US bicentennial, developed to become Black History Month and is now celebrated all over the world. As a point of reference, Kwanzaa, which is another traditional celebration, instead of running down the Christmas thing and spending money that you don't have, sharing with people who you don't know, you don't like, and you never see for most of the year. Carefully. It's better if you spend that money and you give it to ACCDF, you give it to Ashanti, or you give it to Pastor Campbell Adams. We put it to better use. Okay, December 26th, January 1st, created by Professor Molano Karenga. I also have a book by him. So I never have a dream last night and think this is a good idea to share with you. This is a book that he has written. It's called Introduction to Black Studies. And it goes far and it touches on many issues. Get a copy, read for yourself, make sure you're informed and get involved. Okay? He is the chair of the Department of Black Studies, California State Unit, Long Beach. What is it about? It's an African-based celebration based on harvest festivals, family, crucially important, community, crucially important, culture and traditions. So it's about you, not about anybody else. It's about who you are, what you're doing, and how you're going to make progress. It's an African family community assessment of the past 12 months. Okay? Acknowledging and awarding achievements. So if one of us achieved, bless him or her. And show that we appreciate of that and we recognize that. Okay? Whilst making publicly declaring commitment to collective action. That don't mean Pastor Adams and God. That don't mean ninja or any man, woman and child for themselves. It means collective action. Okay? Over the next 12 months, unidentified gaps and holes in the system. Are there any gaps and holes in the system? All over the place. Swiss cheese, somebody call it. Era chocolate. Full of bubbles. Gentle ones, we need help. And it is serious business. Okay? There is another thing. Warrior, and all of this is about men's health. If we're psychologically distressed and emotionally distressed, how can we engage in business? How can we bring up our family? This is who you're known as. You used to be called colored. Now people will call you BME community. Sometimes they call you black. Sometimes you're African. Sometimes you're African Caribbean. Sometimes you're minority. Another time you're ethnic. Who are you people anyway? And where you come from? Africa. And what you doing here? It seems like everybody is content because belly full. Money in pocket. You can go up to the high road and buy anything from any part of the globe. You the guys don't have a problem. We need help. This is a visual. Caribbean islands. Okay? Cuba. Some of the other islands over here. Anybody from Dominica? Anybody from St. Lucia? St. Vincent? Trinidad and Tobago? Antigua? All right. People in the crowd. Anybody from Jamaica? Which part?
Spanish Town.
Okay, Caribbean, African. Look at the continent. A little while ago, not many borderlines. People used to move up and down, pastoral, without damaging Mother Earth. Things changed since then. You see Islamic State, West African State, Bantu State, Christian State, etc., etc. Beautiful continent. One of the biggest on the globe. And personally, I don't even think they give us it in scale or the right dimensions or proportions. Most of the time when we hear about Africa, we hear about Ethiopia and some little babies full of gas, can't get food, how African wicked and bad, and we should never even consider going there. better you stay in Europe. You want to see how it look now? Not too long ago. Sorry about the light. If somebody could pull one of these things, it might help. That is the continent now, carved up like bread and cheese. False borders, people cannot pass. Now you need passport, document, visa. You need to get a stamp to get inoculated, all kinds of foolishness. When we were being carried here, any of you did have passport? Or a visa, or ID documents, either snatch you in the bush, chain you up like a dog, push you in the bows of the ship, and bring you come. And you never come to live happily ever after. You came to work. Hard work, not no 9 to 5, round the clock. Okay? So is it any wonder that we are ill and we are diseased? Anybody ever read Black or African history, culture? 1 and 2. Nobody not talking or sharing anything. Okay, there was something called that. And it's important because we do need to remember. What month are we in? Okay, so remember. And do remember, this is the kind of month where you wear your traditional clothes, you eat your traditional food, you dance your traditional music. You understand? Slavery in the Caribbean, the great, you know what they call it, the great triangular trade. You know what that meant? Ships and planters from Europe, like UK, Holland, France, Spain, etc., leaving, set sail, going to the continent, with colored glass, trinkets, beads, all kind of foolishness to buy you and your forebears. The first passage to pick up their human cargo. We have a reference, Alex Ealy's Kunta Kinte. Anybody remember that program?
Yes, yes.
Has anybody seen it twice on terrestrial TV? No, because they only showed it once. And the groundswell from that, it's never been shown again because some of you guys did get mad at me. And didn't want to take people's life. They're not showing it to you again. You have to go to the store and buy a CD and run it on your DVD. Okay, second passage. To the Caribbean and North American plantations, or colonies, settler colonies. 2 types. One was settler colonies, the other one was plantation colonies. That's where our people was headed to do that work. Back to Europe with the raw materials. The way how Europeans rush and grab like a thief in the night, it even created animosity between them. And war and conflict broke out. And people wondering why African Caribbean men are distressed and emotional and hyperactive. There is another visual of that great triangular trade. From the UK, West Coast, exchange their goods, pick up our forebears, and then scatter them over the Caribbean islands. We saw that not too long ago, those Caribbean islands. And then back to Europe with what? Sugar, tobacco, spices, good stuff that supercharged sleepy little British ship port towns like London, Bristol, Birmingham, Manchester, etc., etc. This in the corner here, that is a very crude picture of how our forebears were brought to Europe. You weren't considered part of the human family. People would say, we've found the missing link between man and beast. You understand? You weren't human. You'd be branded like a cow. If you was crazy enough to think that you're going to run away, someone would lob off your foot or your hand, or put a big massive cage around your head and you live with that. And everybody knows if you do that, the same thing is going to happen to you. So what we're getting into, divide and rule.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
You said that you're pointing out the passage of the black man from Africa. But how was it that the black man was caught? Was it the white man who caught him, or some black men were helping the white men?
A bit of both. A bit of both. Europeans would come in and now say, my clan have little differences with this brethren clan, and will come and tell me a story how I can be rid of this man and his clan forever. And I'd even earn money, riches, land, women as well too. Of course I'm going to take him out. And that's what happened. And it was going on, but not on the scale that it occurred across Europe. Okay? So a lot of people talk about black and white people don't like black, and black people can't get up. Listen to this. Many of the people who influenced this public opinion created mis-stereotypes and a high discriminatory mindset were of high status class, very wealthy and very influential. Scientists, philosophers created theories about a white man's superiority over all of you, and how black people were naturally inferior. Travelers, explorers, and merchants argue that in their own personal experiences in places such as Africa and Asia prove those theories to be true. And people believe it. Okay? And they would write it up in books and pamphlets and spread it all over the place. So everybody thought that you people ain't even people. We can do anything to you and it's not a problem. And we're talking about a time where black life was cheap, especially masculine gender. You could lose your life at a sneeze or a twitch. If you were well out of order, your wife and your babies would be sold off just to hurt you. Here is a reference again. Another book. Interestingly, this isn't written by an African or a Caribbean. This is written by a European academic who wanted to get underneath the skin. What was life like for those who were enslaved? And what was life like for those who were enslaved? It's an interesting read. It's called Black Ivory, A History of British Slavery. Remember the title, write it down, rush to somewhere and get your copy. Gentle ones, build up your library. If you don't know, you're only going to be guessing. You understand? We're past the time for guessing right now.
Yes.
Everyone inside this room, even the little youth and the babe on the breast, need to know, hear, see, and feel. Okay, keep moving.
Can I add one little thing?
Yes, please.
If I may. It's my, it's just a little thing. It might impact on our understanding of the sale of slaves or transfer of slaves from Africa to America.
Say it, brother, say it.
What seems to be missing, which I think is important, is that the period of the Europeans trying to enslave Africans was a long period. It didn't happen just in one trip. One trip. Now there had been a lot of resistance by the African elders and chiefs.
Yes.
And before Christianity as we know it came into Africa, our elders and spiritual leaders were very spiritual. They used to communicate direct with God.
Yes.
And they used to receive direct.
Okay.
That's why when they name the babies, they wait after the baby is born for certain days until they receive
the word.
And they say the baby shall be called this.
Right.
Now, before the Europeans physically arrived, our great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers, they used to stand and they used to put their nose up and they used to say some spirits are coming. And they used to warn the elders and the chiefs. But that period, nobody could take it whether this is true or this is not true because there wasn't any history
Yes.
of that.
Yes.
Secondly, when they started to arrive and there were resistances, for example, in the western coast of Africa, which is Nigeria, we had a very powerful ruler just like the Zulus. His name was King Jaja of Opobo. He was in the riverine areas. He fought and he defeated. But then they went back and came back with reinforcements and superior guns. Then they made that king, who was powerful, most powerful, to walk on his knees from one town to the next, and killed all his own armies around him until he dropped dead.
Okay.
And then they showed him as an example. And they did that to many, many others,
Yes.
except those who had certain spiritual forces whereby some kind of diseases and malaria prevented them penetrating those areas.
Okay.
Then when the others saw it, they backed down. You had somebody like Oba Kosoko in Badagry, which is beside Lagos, going towards the boundary. He had a lot of slaves who he had captured out of war, but they never used them, he never traded with them, he kept them to work on the farm, the cocoa plantation and so on. And when they came, and he had seen what had happened all along the Benin Empire coming up, he then said, they can have what they wanted. And they said, no, we will give you, we will offer you.
Yeah, move along there, bro.
You see? And so it started relaxing. That process started until the physical sales now actually started.
Okay.
I'm not trying to, I'm only trying to add that bit.
Yeah,
Perhaps it might help you.
Yeah, well, I think you're right, because again,